Hey, this is Chris, keeping it real, facts over fear. We have our weekly COVID tracker, and it is current as of yesterday, which was September 12th, 2020. I guess that is 2020, isn't it? Yes. Just as a quick review, if you didn't watch the last couple videos of this particular chart, we have 4 lines now. Last week we only had 3, but North Carolina went into version 2.5 of its reopening on September 4th. So now we have added a line that ends there. So we have data sets for the shutdown to May 22nd, the shutdown to June 26th, the shutdown to September 4th, and now the shutdown. Actually, that should be 9/12 because that was yesterday's data. So I mislabeled that, sorry about that. And so we can see the effects that these various shutdowns have had on flattening the curve. Remember, that was the whole point of the exercise, was to flatten the curve and not overwhelm the healthcare system. And so what I've done is I've done a graph that shows us how far North Carolina is from herd immunity. In other words, it's the number of people that have to be infected in order for the virus to have such a hard time finding a new host that it completely dies out from the population. And this chart does make one very big assumption, and that is that the number of official cases are 1/20th the size of actual cases. So that is a big assumption. It's based on some scientific data from Sweden. And I'm just going with it because it really, I mean, except for the dates, the curves would be the same relative to one another, and so this just makes a shorter curve. So this is like the best case scenario for getting out of this. And of course, this is going to happen long before there's an a vaccine available. So we'll see what happens with that. So as you can see, let's go through these. The blue line, which includes all data, has shifted right about 3 days since my last report on September 6th, 2020, which was last Sunday. I had predicted it would shift right 4 days. I think the fact that this line is shifting to the right, last week the predicted date of achieving herd immunity was approximately 11/20, 11/21. Now it's 11/24, 2020. I believe as more and more people become infected with the disease and they get over it, that the virus will just naturally have a harder time finding a new host to jump to. And as you can see from the graph, if we are trying to go to 0 from 7 million, we are a little bit over 3 million of the way there. So we are about 40% of the way there in this best case scenario. So that's why I don't think it has anything to do with wearing masks. I think this curve will naturally continue to flatten out as the number of cases rises. It continues to rise, and the number of recovered people continue to rise. This blue line will continue to shift ever more to the right. Now, the only caveat to that is Labor Day weekend was last weekend, and so if any of the gloom and doom that any of the major news outlets predicted happens, then we will see that line shift back to the left because a lot more people will get infected. I don't personally think that we are in the same place we were back at Memorial Day, where relatively few people had been infected. I think we're at a place where a great number of people have been infected. And I also think, as I just look around, as I travel, I don't travel far from home generally, usually about an hour at the most. I'm seeing traffic seems to be like it used to be, about normal. I see a lot of people at the convenience store when I go there. I see a lot of people when I go to the grocery store. I think we're pretty much back to normal traveling patterns, is what I'm trying to say. And so people are interacting with each other. And so that dog. And so we are going to. I don't think any special event, in other words, is going to make any difference. I think people are circulating enough with one another that that has just become a fact of life, and the virus is just going to do what the virus is going to do, which I think is what it's done since the beginning, actually. So, just wanted to share that with you. The actual data shows we are 383.88 million people from herd immunity, so that we're closing in on 50% rather quickly. I have some other charts and graphs. Let me go to another one real quick. I wanted to show you this graph of the number. This is the number of active cases. So this is the number of people who are currently carrying COVID-19 in North Carolina. So it's a function of who's gotten sick minus who's recovered in a cumulative total of both. And so we see that this number of active cases peaked in late July, and it was steadily heading down until we all know what this hump is. I'm just going to call it the UNC Chapel Hill hump. It is the time when all the universities got back to having classes, in-person classes. Kind of a mistake, but I think it was very instructive, because with all those people moving about all the states, all the states and indeed around the world, we only had that slight little rebound of active cases. So it went up a couple thousand in a week or two. And so that, to me, that was good news. That to me tends to confirm my thought that a lot more people have had this disease than most people appreciate. Because if the numbers were really as low as the official count was, this hump would have been a lot higher. Because remember, we're talking about there are over 300,000 students in colleges and universities in North Carolina, and when you think about all the people that had to move from one place to another, I mean, you're including the students, you're including the parents, you're including the staff, you're including everybody that has anything to do with these colleges and universities, going all over the place, interacting with each other, stirring the pot, as it were. And that's all we got out of it, was just a little bitty rebound of cases. So that was good news, I do think. So that's it for this week. Glad you tuned in, glad you dropped by. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the section below. Like and subscribe. We appreciate it when you do. We'll see you on the next fact-filled video.